Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. I am so delighted you're here with me today. Today I'm going to be talking about how to overcome shame and guilt. We have all experienced these emotions in our lives, and for many of us, our parents, our teachers, even people in society use shame and guilt to direct our behavior. But oftentimes we feel these emotions because things happen to us that were beyond our control, whether it was abuse or whether you had, in my situation, when I was younger, I had an older kid who made me feel guilty for not doing what he wanted me to do. He was trying to pressure me as a younger kid into just following his lead. A lot of times we're left doing things then, being pressured into doing things, and later we think, why did I do that? That totally betrayed my own self. I betrayed myself in doing what I didn't want to do. And the problem with that is, even though it feels like we betrayed ourselves, oftentimes, especially if you're little, you're not in a powerful situation. You are in a situation where there is a lack of control. Power struggles are a very real thing, and a lot of adults use their power to control someone else, which is totally wrong, but it happens a lot. And what happens after we end up in a situation where there's a power struggle and we feel controlled and we do something we didn't want to do, and later we feel guilty and shame about it, and we wonder, why did I do that? I wouldn't normally do something like that, or I wouldn't allow that to happen to me. We start to beat ourselves up, even though the person responsible is not us. It's really hard, especially if you're a child and you're put in a situation where you don't have any power and you don't have any control. It would be very difficult for you to step up for yourself, right? Stand up and fight back. We're taught not to do that. We're taught to be polite little girls, if you're a girl out there listening. And if you're a guy, maybe you were too, I don't know. But I just know growing up as a little girl, you were taught it was impolite to be rude, right? To say no. And that's where the beginnings of our people-pleasing began. But also, if you're put in this power dynamic, because I really think it's all about power and gaining control over someone else. If you were put in this and you felt like you lost the situation, you may have accumulated a lot of guilt and shame for not standing up for yourself, for not doing better. I know I did. I would look back at this situation and be like just mortified, like, why didn't I stand up for myself? Why didn't I go tell on this kid? Why didn't I do whatever? But we're put in these situations because we're learning something. When we've learned the lesson, we have to let go of the guilt and the shame. And for me, the lesson was always listen to your gut and always get help if you need it and stand up for yourself. That seems a lot easier just saying it in my head, but I have taken that with me. That feeling that I had then, I never want to feel again. So I know when I have that feeling in my gut, like, oh, this is not a good situation, I need to get out of there quickly. So I learned something, but for years I held on to the feelings of guilt and shame because it was embarrassing. Like, why did I listen to this older kid who then got me in trouble? Why didn't I think? Why didn't I use my brain? Why didn't I stand up for myself? And the only thing that doing that to myself, beating myself up year after year and saying, why did this happen? The only thing it does to me is makes me miserable and puts me in a mental prison. It's taken me so many years to get over it, and I have to get over it because it's not doing anything useful for me to hold on to this and beat myself up over it. It's not making me a better person. It's not moving me further in life. It's not doing anything positive. So I have to learn to let this go. So how do you do that? How do you forgive yourself and let go of the guilt and the shame or let go of the regrets? And honestly, I'm going to tell you that in a situation like that, and in the situation that I was in, there is not anything that I needed to forgive myself for. I didn't do anything wrong. I really didn't. My only crime was just not being mature enough and not having the wisdom to know how to handle that situation. And if you've never been put in a situation like that before, you would not have the wisdom to know how to handle it. The fault lies with the person who betrayed you, who perpetrated the thing that you're blaming yourself for, even though it was someone else who did it. We need to just be able to forgive ourselves if we think we did anything wrong. But I'm here to tell you that in those kinds of situations, you didn't do anything wrong. You fell prey to someone who was an abuser. I mean, that's how I'll put it. Even this kid, it was an abuser because it's all about control and getting control over someone else. It's almost never about the thing you think it's about. It's always about control. How do I get this person to do what I want them to do? We have to learn to forgive ourselves for what we think we did wrong. Even though we didn't do anything wrong, our brains tells us, right? Our brain tells us, you did something wrong. This was your fault, and it wasn't. So the first thing you have to do is forgive yourself. I'm here to tell you, you didn't do anything wrong, but your brain is probably telling you that you did. So we need to forgive ourselves for what we think we didn't do, or we could have done better, or what we should have done, right? I should have kicked. I should have fought back. I should have done this. I should have gone and told. I should have done. We can shit all over ourselves. The point is, you've got to forgive yourself. I'm here to tell you it wasn't your fault, but you've got to also understand that it wasn't your fault. So if you need to sit down and say, okay, I forgive myself for not handling that better, but also understand that you didn't have the tools to. I forgive myself for not going to get an adult. I forgive myself for trusting this older kid. I forgive myself for disappointing my parents, whatever it is. You got to sit down and think about why you think you need forgiveness. And then I want you to accept that you are a human being, that every human makes mistakes, that in your situation, maybe you just didn't have the tools or the wisdom to know how to handle it or know what to do. Maybe you had no choice, you had no control. Acknowledge that. Then ask yourself, was there anything that I've learned from this? In my situation, I learned to always listen to my gut. My gut was loud and clear saying, get away from this kid. Listen to your gut. What does it tell you? What was the lesson in this? Try to learn from the mistake. And then if you need to let go of the guilt, one of the things that I truly love is EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, or tapping, because I really feel like when you are put in a situation like that, especially in my case where it happened when I was like 5, when you're put in a situation like that, you are carrying around deep, deep wounding from that situation. Like that guilt, that shame, it is so deeply rooted. We have to attack it at the cellular level because our body still holds on to those feelings of guilt and shame, and that can actually manifest into pain, into illness, into whatever in our bodies. So we got to get rid of that. And one of the ways that I love to do that is through EFT. So you can do an EFT tapping, just look up EFT tapping, guilt and shame, getting rid of guilt and shame, and go through it. And the thing is, you can go through it and get rid of the guilt and the shame without actually having to visit the trauma that caused the guilt and the shame. And if you're looking for a way to get rid of that without having to go back through and live that again, that's another great way. Hypnosis is a great way to go through hypnosis, and I have been trained to do that. And you take someone through hypnosis and they can go back and get rid of the emotion, but they don't actually have to be re-traumatized by visiting the thing that happened that caused those emotions. But it's really important to try to let go of that guilt and the shame. Another great thing to do is guided meditation. Because again, you can go through and you can find where those feelings are hiding in the body and get rid of them without having to actually remember why you had those feelings in the first place. And I think that that's really important, because the goal is not to re-traumatize yourself. The goal is to have self-compassion, to understand that you're human and that whatever happened was not your fault, and to let it go and to get rid of those feelings that are keeping you so heavily burdened. That's the goal. And whether you want to write about it, journaling is also a great thing. But letting go through EFT, that is a great way. And in another way, that's also taking back your power. Put that shame back on the people who deserve it, which are the people who abused you. Give that shame back to those people and let it go for yourself. In fact, if you need to visualize handing a basket full of shame to the person who gave this to you, give it back. Give them back what's rightfully theirs and take back your inner peace. Maybe you see yourself exchanging, giving them this basket of shame and you taking back your power from them and your inner peace, because that is what you deserve. If you understand why you were put in the situation that you were so that you don't get put in a situation like that again, that's the important thing. That's the lesson. The rest of it, let it go. Show yourself compassion and love, because you're a beautiful human being who is here to learn and grow. Your abusers are the ones who need to learn and grow. Give them back that abuse. Understand, was there anything I could have done differently? And take that and use that in the future so that you could do something differently. And then let it go. Do the meditation, do the EFT, whatever you have to do to understand that guilt and shame are not emotions that serve us, and they're not emotions we need to hold on to. They just keep us stuck. Keep us stuck feeling crappy about ourselves, and there's no reason for that. I wanted to pull a few cards for you today, and I decided to use the Soul Truth deck by Brianne Hovey. And the first one that came out, which is always awesome that the universe just lines everything up perfectly, right? The first card coming out was, am I ready to let go of this buried shame? The feeling of shame is the lowest energy frequency there is. When you live in shame, you live in darkness. What part of you is ready to stand in the light? Is there any shame from a past experience that is ready to be healed? Today's soul action is heal the shame by giving it a name. Bring it to the light and let it be seen, heard, and healed. It's revival season. Replace the shame with your soul's truth. Fill in the blank. My soul's truth is... I love that. Don't keep it hidden. Bring it out. Everyone has something that they feel ashamed about. We all have our own shame stories. It's time to bring it to light and let it out so that you can let it go. The next card that came out is, am I apologizing for my truth? What part of you is apologizing for your truth, and why? Today's soul action is today be proud of your truth. Catch yourself when you want to apologize or withhold parts of it. You never know whose life you will change when you are brave enough to speak it. Be the lighthouse that shines on the courage that lives in all of us. This will give others permission to speak their own truth. There is room for all of us. Today's mantra is courage is contagious. You know, I think that is so true. There's so much truth in that. We need to speak it because we may be helping others. I was actually talking to someone that I went to high school with, ran into him, never talked to him in high school, but ran into him the other day and we had a lovely conversation and just in this conversation, I didn't even know him that long, he told me and shared that there was abuse in his family. And he said, the bad thing is it's way more common than we realize. It's way more common than we think. And he's so right. It is. A lot of people, I know my own mom used to share stories of abuse that she received at her own father's hands. And there's a lot of abuse that goes on that is hushed. No one wants to talk about it, right? Because that's not the thing to share about your family. But when you're sharing it, maybe that helps other people to see the signs and to stop it from happening in the future. You can be the one to break the cycle in your family. And that's what many of us came here to do. We came here to break the cycle of abuse in our families. I know I definitely came here to do that. And I'm not saying that I did a wonderful job and I'm perfect. Of course I did not. But it stops when you decide that it stops in my family. Like, this is going to end, and I'm going to be the one to stop it. That's how we stop the abuse cycle. And sharing your story and telling your truth is one way to start with that. Don't sweep it under the rug. Be honest about it. Abusers need to be shamed. They need to be shamed because it needs to stop. All right, your next card is, am I clear on what my soul really wants? Take out the shoulds and limitations. Get out of your head and pay attention to your heart's desires instead. If you knew it was impossible to fail, what would you do? Wherever you go, go with all of your heart. Today's soul action is ask yourself what it is that your soul really wants. What does your heart crave? Then take one step in that direction. I love it. Yes, you are supposed to be doing something, right? Whatever is laid on your heart, the universe is asking you to take steps and do that thing. And the last card that came out today is, what could this mean, or what else could this mean? There are always multiple ways to look at every situation. Our first reaction is usually rooted in our fears and limiting beliefs. Look at a situation today by stepping outside of the trigger and ask, what else could this mean? Today's soul action, is there something your soul is calling you to learn in this moment? Or is there a pattern that is ready to be broken? Walk in the other person's shoes and see it from their perspective. If it doesn't involve someone else, ask yourself, how is life happening to me right now? I love that. It's so true. What stories are you telling yourself about what happened? And how can you change those stories or see things from a different perspective? All right, guys. Well, I hope that was helpful. And I always appreciate you being here with me. I hope that you have a beautiful week. Know that you are perfect and beautiful in every way. I love each and every one of you, and I am sending you so much love and light. I'm hoping that you will have a beautiful week to come, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.